In 5 weeks, Jewish people all over the world will be gathered in synagogues. And the purpose of gathering the synagogue is to celebrate Rosh Hashanah. For most Jews, they don't know what Rosh Hashanah really is. The New Year, celebration, Happy New Year. We dip the apple in the honey, we hear the shofar, and we make New Year's resolutions like we're going to lose some weight, we're going to be nice to our mothers, we're not going to go ahead and invest too much in the stock market this year because it's a little bit risky. We're not going to gamble this year, we're going to go to Gamblers Anonymous, and so on and so forth. For most Jews, Rosh Hashanah is an irrelevancy, which for some people is a nuisance, for other people it's a time when they can get together and show off their latest suits, the latest furs, latest cars. And for rabbis, it's a time when they can express their oratory powers, and the longer the better, the more long-winded, the better the speech, especially if it brings in more money to the UJA or for Israel bonds or whatever they're collecting for. It's most unfortunate that the message of Rosh Hashanah is missed and is never talked about. And part of the reason is that today's modern rabbis deny the relevance, the centrality of the Torah to Jewish life, and if they do, they pay lip service to it only, and don't focus on the central core issues that face the Jewish people, which is their relationship with God. And the relationship with God is determined by the filiality to the Torah mitzvahs. And of course, there are mitzvahs that are more important, mitzvahs that are less important. But the rabbis tell us that a person should not try to weigh the importance of each mitzvah, because these are beyond our understanding. And so I want to share with my viewers, and I ask you to disseminate it if you find this to your liking, a little bit about the concept of Rosh Hashanah and the significance of Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is the beginning of the year. It's really not the beginning of creation. Creation takes place 5 days before the creation of man. Rosh Hashanah is the day that celebrates the birth date of mankind. It's not the birthday of the world, it's the birthday of man. So why is it the head of the year? Why is it called Rosh Hashanah? And the answer that's given is that within the heart of a man or a woman is the power to transform the entire cosmos. I've told you the story of a little boy who was in synagogue on Yom Kippur, and he didn't know how to read. He was never taught. And that the Rebbe, the Baal Shem Tov, which this is 250 years since the Baal Shem Tov passed on, the Rebbe, the Baal Shem Tov, was himself the leader of the services, which is called the Chazan. And toward the end of the holy day of Yom Kippur, the Baal Shem Tov remained stuck before he said the fateful words, "He who forgives his people Israel." Apparently, God wasn't forgiving. And all the people in the synagogue were all excited. They didn't know what to do. They realized they were in grave danger, because whatever the Rebbe saw must have been something horrific. And so they all cried, and they all said psalms, and they all beseeched God to the depths of their abilities and their hearts, to no avail. The Rebbe was silent. 5 minutes went on, 10 and 15. The silence and the crying was unbearable. And all of the people broke out in sobs, asking God for forgiveness for all sins done and imagined. The little boy was touched to the depth of his heart, but what could he do? He couldn't even pray in Hebrew. He didn't even know how to say a prayer. He did the one thing that he knew how to do well. A rooster call. And everybody turned to the little boy, shocked that they would hear this kind of sound in a synagogue at this holy moment. But at that very moment, the Baal Shem Tov continued his prayers, and the prayers were said in the most exciting and vivifying ways. After Yom Kippur, the Baal Shem Tov explained that he saw accusations against the people of Israel that were not being accepted, and there was no defense. And try as he might, and try as all the people with him, including his holy students, they could not negate the judgments being evoked against the Jewish people. And this little boy, crying out from the depths of his heart, broke all of the evil forces. And the purity of his prayer went directly before God, beseeching for forgiveness, and effected forgiveness for the whole world. And so, it's a time that's serious. It's a time when God judges the world, because man is the purpose of creation. We don't believe in evolution. We believe that God created man. We don't believe in an evolved man. We don't believe that Adam and Eve are only symbols. We believe that they actually existed, and that there were actually people who walked this face of the earth, known as Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah. We are their descendants, and we have to behave accordingly. And a Jew has to ask himself on Rosh Hashanah, are my deeds the kind of deeds that my patriarch Abraham would be proud of? In fact, you don't have to go back so far. On most walls in the living room, in the den, sometimes in the offices, are pictures, family pictures, old family portraits. Go back 3, 4, 5 generations. Look at the pictures of the people who are looking out at that picture, from that picture. Those people look pious, don't they? Most of them, the men have beards, and the women have their heads covered with either a shawl or a wig, and very, very modestly dressed. And they look out almost defiantly at the world, ready to take on the world, because they know that they're Jews, and as persecuted as they were, they remain steadfastly as Jews. And you have to ask yourself, if my grandfather, great-grandfather, great-grandmother were to be with me for a week, would she be proud or not? And if not, why not? And that's what every Jew and Jewess must ask themselves on Rosh Hashanah.